My grandmother Margie was determined to get off the plantations, because somehow she knew about the slaves being freed.
Throughout our childhood, we heard stories from my mom and my dad about their childhoods and their parents and grandparents. My great-grandmother Margie, who ran away, as my mom said, at the end of slavery, but it was actually 40 years after slavery had ended.
Despite the broken promise of 40 acres and a mule, Black farmers managed to save money and purchase almost 16 million acres of lands by 1910. This was 14% of the nation's farms, and it was our all-time high. Since then, Black farmland ownership has precipitously declined to the point where farmers now control only about 1.5% of the farmland in the United States. When Black farmers did manage to acquire those 16 million acres of land, the backlash was swift and severe. The White Citizens Council, the Ku Klux Klan, and other white supremacist groups attacked Black farmers for the audacity of leaving the plantation and not being sharecroppers anymore. So homes were burned, people were murdered and lynched and driven off of their land.
For centuries, America's economic rise relied on treating millions of Black people literally as property. We have still not come to terms with the horrors of legalized slavery and its continuing impacts on our society.
We came on a train, which of course was segregated, and that was part of the Great Migration.
Our family moved here in 1962, and my parents had 5 kids. We all grew up on this farm. It was a subsistence farm. In addition to the beautiful agricultural land and forest, we have 6 historic buildings that Dad, with these amazing hands, lovingly upgraded over nearly 60 years.
We felt that something could be done with the field that was behind our house. So we spent a lot of time mowing grass and even improving on a stream that ran right through the middle of the wooded area.
Because the USDA gives out its loans and crop insurance at the county level, whatever racism exists locally is going to be mirrored in those federal programs. And so for generations, Black farmers were denied access to those entitlement programs. And as a result, many farms were foreclosed.
This is one of the few remaining African-American owned farms in the nation. So the decision to hold on to the farm is not just for the family, but really in light of the devastating loss of African-American land in this country through our history. And so as the family was having the conversation, what do we do with the farm? I said, there's no way we can sell this farm. No way.
A big part of supporting returning generation Black farmers and coming back to the land is working through the historical trauma of experiencing slavery, sharecropping, and other types of land-based oppression. And we found that one of the most effective ways to address the trauma is to help our folks understand that our relationship to land goes back thousands of years before land-based oppression. So there is certainly a returning generation of farmers who are excited to reclaim the proud legacy of our grandparents and great-grandparents as stewards of the lands. The problem is that there isn't enough training, there is not enough capital, and there's not enough land. We are the grandchildren of the people who were dispossessed of their land, both through racist violence and government discrimination. So we're calling on the federal government and for the public to make sure that this returning generation of farmers can be successful.
We're trying to hang on to the land as an African-American land asset that is dedicated to preserving African-American owned land and heritage, cultural heritage. We're holding on to something that has been disappearing in this country. A people with no land is a people with no future, no leverage point, no equity. This is an equity issue.